Joe Torre's Yankees came out cold. In the first round of the playoffs, they looked more like a fading old ball club than a proud defending world champion. That is until Mike Mussina took them out in Game 3 and shut down the powerful Oakland A's lineup. From there, they took on a familiar form and reawakened the confidence needed to win their best-of-5 series. Confidence they carried all the way to Seattle, where they faced the Mariners, a team that finished with the best regular season record in history, a team that showed true resilience as they too came from behind to win their division series in 5 games. Today, they turn to their ace, Freddie Garcia. They turn to the league's most exciting player, Ichiro Suzuki, and to the best DH in baseball, Edgar Martinez, to answer the question, who's the best? From Safeco Field in Seattle, Washington, Major League Baseball International presents Game 2 of the American League Championship Series between the world champion New York Yankees and the Western Division champion Seattle Mariners. The home team tonight looking to tie up this best-of-7 series at 1 before the whole show goes cross-country to Yankee Stadium for the weekend. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Safeco Field. The roof is closed, but we are open for business for Game 2. I'm Dave O'Brien, along with my partner, Rick Sutcliffe. And Rick, a lot of people were very eager to write off the New York Yankees after they lost the first 2 games of their series with Oakland in the division series. They came back. They rewrote some more Yankee lore, a new chapter in that very thick history book of great Yankee wins, and they may have started a new chapter here in Seattle yesterday.
Well, it was that Mike Mussina, tonight's starting pitcher, that got things going for them in Game 3 against Oakland. And now these New York Yankees have the train on the right track. They have won their last 4 consecutive postseason games.
Hey, the Yankees know how to do it in the first game of a series. This is where they really show their championship pinstripes, don't they?
Yeah, they have won 9 out of the last 10 first game of the series. Their only loss coming back in 1997 against the Cleveland Indians. This team likes being challenged, as they were in the Oakland series. But even more than that, Joe Torre says they like being champions. It's been an amazing run. They do not want it to stop here.
All right, so the Yankees take Game 1. Seattle is down in their own home building here at Safeco Field. But they do have their ace on the mound tonight, and the right-hander from Venezuela, Freddie Garcia, an 18-game winner during the season. He also led the American League in earned run average, but maybe some concern here because for just the second time in his career, first time this year, he's going to pitch on 3 days rest.
Everybody else on this Mariners staff he is very confident against these New York Yankees, particularly in the postseason.
Well, look what he did against the Yankees last season in the ALCS. 2-0 with a sparkling 1.54 ERA. Those were the only 2 victories that Seattle managed against New York in falling 6 games in that division series. When you're on the topic of aces, the Yankees seem to have one every single time they send a pitcher to the mound, and they've got one in Mike Mussina on the hill tonight. He probably was the best pitcher in Major League Baseball down the stretch, Rick, going 6-1 in his last 9 starts with a 131 earned run average, and he nearly tossed a perfect game in Boston.
Yeah, he didn't get a lot of run support during the course of the year, but with Mike Mussina, years has been with the Baltimore Orioles. Not many big games to be had.
Well, a big game in the 3rd game of the division series against Oakland doesn't get a lot bigger. It was do or die. If the Yankees had lost, they were out of the postseason. 7 innings, 4 hits. He threw 100 pitches, and 68 of them were for strikes. Now, the Yankees will pay Mike Mussina $88 million over the next 6 years for his excellence, but manager Lou Piniella of Seattle is not surprised by that, and he expects a big effort from Mussina.
They got good starting pitching. We know that. Our job is to hit their starting pitching. They spend quite a bit of money on it, and it shows.
So it's Game 2 coming up. Mussina trying to put the Yankees ahead 2-0. The Mariners down 1 game, but don't seem too concerned because they have the wizard Ichiro in the lineup. He's trying to work his magic tonight. On just about any postcard you'll find that you'll purchase here in the city of Seattle, you're going to find that famous landmark, the Space Needle, rising up high and looking up over Safeco Field. The roof is closed because there is a threat of rain tonight. but it is not a complete enclosure. We still have kind of an outdoorsy feel, and the temperatures will be in the 40s by the mid portion of tonight's game. Dave O'Brien, Rick Sutcliffe with you from Safeco Field. Ichiro Suzuki had nothing shy of a spectacular season his first year in the American major leagues after dominating Japanese baseball for 9 years. A .350 batting average, 242 hits. I think the Yankees, however, Rick, may have solved his riddle. Keeping him off base, that's the way to beat Seattle if you're going to do it.
And how they solved it was with their advanced scouts. They're probably the best in baseball. Last year they were able to shut down Timo Perez of the New York Mets in the World Series. How did they shut down Ichiro the first 3 at-bats? They pounded him in and they changed his eye level. They made him speed up the swing of his bat. They had to start it earlier, and when he did that, they were able to strike him out in his second at-bat.
He reached base 280 times in 162 games. Pretty staggering. 127 runs scored. Number 2 in all of Major League Baseball, and the toughest strikeout in the majors when it comes to guys who batted over 400 times, and he was struck out yesterday. So the Yankees off to a very good start against him. Hey, the designated hitter for the Mariners, Edgar Martinez, not off to a very good start. He's been a terrific heart and soul guy for them for about 10 or 15 years, but it was painful with his groin injury yesterday to watch him play, wasn't it?
Yeah, Dave, I talked to him just before tonight's game, and he said he got a shot, an anti-inflammatory medication put into that groin on Tuesday. It really did not help whatsoever until he woke up this morning. He said he's much better, and that's great news for Seattle, because watch him trying to go from first to third on this double by Mike Cameron. It's painful to watch. It was all he could do to get there. Had it been somebody else running, you could see Cameron right behind him. It might have been a triple for Mike Cameron, but instead it did not, and Cameron did not score.
Now, the Mariners done all right with Edgar out of the lineup, but clearly they'd rather have him in there, a career .320 hitter, who also really peppers tonight's Yankee starter Mike Mussina at a .373 pace, and he certainly has plenty of fans here in Seattle, and he has been the guy they call Pops ever since he broke in with them back in 1987. This could wind up being a serious coming out party, though, for the second baseman of the New York Yankees, Alfonso Soriano, who showed off some of his 5 tools yesterday in the Yankees win.
Well, we know a lot about the New York Yankees. We don't know
every seat taken for tonight's game 2. And down on the field, the presentation of the colors by the United States Marines Color Guard. Dave O'Brien, Rick Sutcliffe with you. Thanks for joining us. And tonight we anticipate a terrific second game. Right-hander Freddie Garcia against right-hander Mike Mussina. Garcia with 18 victories and Mussina with 17 during the regular season. Now we send it to Tom Hudler, the public address announcer. We'll have a moment of silence and then tonight's national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets and the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that the flag was still there. say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Very well done by Alan Woodrow. As if you couldn't guess, he's a tenor. He's an opera star. A very robust version of our national anthem. The Yankees and the Mariners getting set for the second game of the series. In a series everyone anticipates will come down to pitching. Certainly Andy Pettitte was the star yesterday for the Yankees, as he had this Seattle team, the #1 hitting team in baseball, no hit into the 5th inning. Rick, you were down inside the Yankee clubhouse shortly before the ball game tonight. You're kind of chatting up some friends and getting some of your homework done and some background information. And it was difficult for you because everyone was napping on you. They were half asleep. Maybe you'd want to explain that.
It really was a much different attitude in that clubhouse tonight than it was yesterday. I think the adrenaline from the Oakland series carried over into yesterday's game. But before tonight's game, they had a movie on the big screen television, a lot of guys laying on couches and on the ground, and about half of them were asleep. So I think that fatigue factor may have set in more tonight than it did yesterday.
Well, let's get a look at the Yankee travel schedule over the last couple of days. It is astounding, given where they've come from, New York City, to travel across the country to take on the Oakland A's. Wrapping up that series, they had to go back to Yankee Stadium, clinch Game 5, then get back on the team charter and head all the way across country once again to take on the Seattle Mariners for Game 2, and they arrived at 6 o'clock in the morning. So here it is, the Yankees postseason travel itinerary: 5,122 miles, 13 hours worth of travel against the Oakland A's. They spend more time in the air than they did on the field. 17.5 hours of game time and 4,812 miles round trip New York to Seattle, the ALCS.
Well, and let's not forget, right along with that, all of that happened in just a matter of days. They finished the regular season in Tampa. So they had to go from Tampa to New York to Oakland for games 3 and 4, back to New York for Game 5, to Seattle for Game 1. But here they are, and they've got that look of a champion. They came out in that last 3 games of the Oakland series. I mean, it was like a lion going after a lamb, and they got what they wanted. They advanced in the postseason, and here they are again.
Derek Jeter's sick to death of putting his tray table in an upright and locked position after all of that traveling. The Mariners haven't had to do quite so much. Their series against the Cleveland Indians got them to the middle part of the country and then back to Seattle. So not as many frequent flyer miles as Freddie Garcia marches out of the bullpen. The 25-year-old from Caracas, Venezuela, about to toe the slab for Game 2 against the very tough Mike Mussina. Now, those are tonight's starting pitchers. Let's get a look at the rest of the series coming up. We're about to go back across country ourselves to Yankee Stadium over the weekend for Game 3, Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. It'll be Jamie Moyer against El Duque.
Well, Lou Piniella keeps talking about Freddie Garcia and Jamie Moyer being his best 2 pitchers. If he can possibly get this series back to Seattle, he likes the Mariners' chances, because he would have Garcia again on a full 5 days rest to pitch Game 6, and his 20-game winner, Jamie Moyer, for Game 7 if needed.
Well, of course, the real question revolves around Roger Clemens and whether or not that hamstring will allow him to be effective. But the fans here in Seattle are certainly ready to send it back to New York, add 1 game apiece, trying to tie it up against the defending world champion Yankees, who actually lost the first game of last year's ALCS with Seattle, then stormed back to win 3 in a row. So maybe that's the example that the Mariners are looking for. All they have to do is look over to that dugout and know it can be done. A comeback might be in order. Eventually, of course, the Yankees won that series in 6 games.
Well, as a team, you don't win 116 games like the Mariners did this year without getting contributions from everybody. The biggest contributor as far as RBIs were concerned was Brett Boone, and he's really the key to this series. If he doesn't start swinging the bat, they will continue to struggle offensively, as they have, in Lou Piniella's words, since the next to the last day of the year. They have just not scored runs like they did before that.
Yeah, not a great time for Brett Boone to go into a slump, but just 3 for 24 in this postseason with 11 strikeouts. It's a 125 batting average. Chuck Knobloch ready to dig in another moment or so. Let's get a look at the rest of the Yankees starting 9 now. Knobloch will be in left field. He really outdueled Ichiro in the leadoff spot in game 1, going 3 for 5 with a double and a run batted in. Jeter at short. Dave Justice again the DH. Paul O'Neill is back out there in right field. He says he hates being the designated hitter. He can't get in a groove unless he's playing the outfield, and Torrey has him back out in right.
I couldn't get over how happy they were for Chuck Knobloch yesterday. They felt like he is a big part of the offense, and he really set the tone for New York by swinging at the very first pitch of the game from Aaron Seeley and hitting a line drive for that base hit. He didn't score then. He didn't score all day, but he was constantly on base for the Yankees.
The Mariners have taken the field. A couple of changes in their defensive alignment. Stan Javier is out there in left field tonight, and it'll be Mark McLemore and not Guillen at shortstop.
Carlos Guillen yesterday.
Boone, second base, USA.
David Bell, third base, USA. Mark McLemore, shortstop, USA.
Stan Javier, outfield, Dominican Republic.
Mike Cameron, center fielder, United States of America. Ichiro Suzuki, right field, Japan.
Dan Wilson, catcher, USA.
Yesterday, Lou Piniella going with Carlos Guillen and Jay Buhner. That did not work. He had hoped to get a little bit of offense out of those guys. It didn't happen. He's going more so now with the speed of McLemore and Javier, maybe trying to create some runs.
Well, unlike game 1 starter Aaron Seeley, Freddie Garcia has pitched some great playoff baseball against the New York Yankees. In last year's ALCS, Garcia was 2-0 with a 154 earned run average. And he's certainly an American League Cy Young Award candidate. He enjoyed a spectacular season.
He's certainly a #1 starter. He just turned 25 years of age on the 6th day of this month. And what is a #1 starter? There are 2 things, Dave, that have to happen. You have to pitch a lot of innings. Well, Freddie Garcia led the American League in innings pitched. And you need a big difference between your wins and your losses. For a team to go into the postseason, they have to be over 500. At 18-6, Freddie Garcia did his part and is an established #1 guy.
6'4", 235 pounds. His hometown, Caracas, Venezuela.
Knobloch yesterday swinging at the first pitch fastball from Aaron Seeley. This fastball will be about 8 miles an hour harder from Freddie Garcia.
And again, we'll keep an eye on the radar gun. The first pitch right across for a strike at 93 miles an hour. And the reason for that is he's going on 3 days rest. His manager, Lou Piniella, believes he'll have no problem with it. He said he's a big, strong kid. He can handle it. 1 ball, 1 strike on Knobloch. On deck, Jeter and then David Justice. Knobloch a 3 for 5 game 1. And most of the Yankees believe that was the key to the offense yesterday. And he rips this one down into the corner, headed for the wall. He hooked it, and a little too much. A foul ball. Tim Welke right along that foul line. The left field umpire. But Knobloch able to jump on it just as he did right away against Aaron Seeley yesterday.
Well, it had the fans worried, but Chuck Knobloch knew it was going to be foul from the very beginning. Take a look at it. He never even set the bat down. It kind of looked like to begin with a little bit of what happened to Soriano yesterday. Only Soriano's ball was fair, and he was held to a single off a ball that hit off the top of the wall.
The 1-2 pitch from Garcia. Outside. Wally Bell, the home plate umpire. He'll call the balls and strikes tonight. Knobloch has certainly gotten used to postseason play. This is his 4th consecutive ALCS since being acquired from the Minnesota Twins in 1998. He hasn't known anything else with the Yankees. The count is full, 3-2.
This is a typical Chuck Knobloch at bat. Whether he gets on base or not, he has done his job. This will be the 6th pitch in this at bat already from Freddie Garcia. The Yankees have seen all of his pitches. He's worked the count. It'll possibly show up later on in the game.
Hit off the glove of Olerud and down the line. Ichiro to scoop it up. It'll be a base hit for Knobloch. So he has started the first 2 games of the 2001 ALCS with a single.
And Knobloch is just an absolute nightmare for a guy trying to set up the defense against him. You saw him just miss an extra base hit, pulling the ball down the left field line. Now he goes over the first baseman's head. He'll hit the ball wherever it's pitched. A good contact guy, a power type guy, only not so much as a home run, but as a gap type hitter.
Well, 4 for 6 already in the American League Championship Series. And here's Jeter, who hit .311 during the regular season with 21 home runs. 0 for 5 in the first game yesterday. He's bunting. And Bell will scoop the fire to first base, almost taking Olerud off the bag. Down to second, moves Knobloch on the sacrifice. But almost a missed throw there by Bell. Well, look at the umpires now. I mentioned Wally Bell with the plate tonight. Gary Cederstrom is the umpire at first base. Charlie Rutherford at second. The veteran John Shulock at third base. Eddie Montague, who had the plate yesterday, is in right. Tim Welke along that left field line.
That right there tells you that Derek Jeter does not feel good at home plate swinging the bat. He's hitting under 200 in his career against the starting pitcher Freddie Garcia, and Jeter was 0 for 5 yesterday. So what does he do? Instead of thinking of himself, he thinks of the team. What's the best thing I can do for our ball club right now? Well, it's to advance Chuck Knobloch into scoring position for a guy like Dave Justice or maybe Bernie Williams next.
Justice, the designated hitter. And he takes strike 1. A runner at second base, 1 down. The Yankees trying to score right away. And I think it's a fair point, Rick, to talk about the top 5 in the Yankee batting order against Garcia. It's not just Jeter himself. The Yankees 1 through 5 hitters, including Bernie Williams, are a combined 10 for 66 against this right-hander. A jam shot, Olerud with it, no double play. Softly hit by Justice. Sounded like he broke his bat. And no advance by Knobloch. 2 down.
This crowd is already into this ball game. And the one way to fuel the fire is to strike out a guy to end the inning. Olerud just so smooth and so effortless with everything he does. It took him a long time to win a Gold Glove, which he did last year. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins the next 3 or 4 consecutive.
Voted as the American League starting first baseman in the All-Star game, which was played right here in Seattle on July 10th.
Well, Ichiro really helped a lot of that.
Oh, he sure did.
Because of everybody voting for him, they just looked down the line at the rest of the Mariners and punched their name as well.
Bernie Williams, the center fielder. He hit .307 during the season with 94 runs batted in. Bernie always has enjoyed the ALCS stage prior to this year. A .386 average in these series with 16 runs batted in. He's trying to pick up Knobloch here with 2 down. 1 ball, 1 strike on Bernie. Tino Martinez will hit next if given the chance.
What makes Freddie Garcia so tough is that most starting pitchers just have 1, maybe 2 above average pitches. He has got 3. He's got a fastball that'll touch 98, 99. He's got a changeup, which Bernie Williams just saw there. And his curveball has improved every single year.
Knobloch leading at second. Hit sharply down to get it, Olerud. And the Gold Glover makes the play for out number 3. The Yankees do not score. And this crowd is really noisy in Seattle. The roof is on tonight. That's going to add to the bedlam at Safeco Field. The Mariners are coming up. Mike Mussina on the hill tonight for the Yankees, and here is the Seattle lineup with Suzuki to kick it off.
Very unfortunate for Seattle. Brett Boone's not swinging the bat well, and Edgar Martinez is not at 100%. You have to think that groin injury is bothering him more than running, even swinging the bat. He struck out twice yesterday, and uncharacteristically of him, he broke 3 bats in 2 at-bats.
Ichiro didn't break any bats, but he only wound up with 1 hit on the day, 1 for 4. So the Yankees corralled the #1 hitter in Major League Baseball pretty well. He was 1 for 4 with a double. But Joe Torre and Andy Pettit thought keeping Ichiro off base until the 9th inning was a major part of the Yankee win. Ichiro and fellow MVP candidate Brett Boone 2 for 7 in the Game 1 loss. There's a swing and a miss. Quickly he's in the hole 0-2.
Right away you see the same game plan they had yesterday, even though Mussina's going away, as opposed to Andy Pettit being a left-handed pitcher coming in, changing the eye levels. Fastball down to begin with. There was an elevated fastball, either another elevated fastball here or that good breaking ball down in the dirt.
Mussina trying to put him away immediately, but it's flicked and fouled away by Ichiro. Mark McLemore up next.
Normally you wouldn't expect anything to happen in the first inning against Mike Mussina. He's not allowed a run in the first inning in his last 11 starts. Only once this year did he allow more than 1 run in the first inning. But those innings weren't against a team like Seattle and a guy named Ichiro.
The 0-2 again is wide, and when you talk about efficiency, probably no more efficient pitcher in the American League, maybe in the majors, than Mike Mussina. Which brings a smile to Mel Stottlemyre's face without a doubt. 98 times this year he retired the side in order. Tops in baseball. Ichiro puts it in play up the middle, and it gets by Jeter. His second hit of the series, but he starts the ball game with a base hit.
Really surprised with the sequence there by Mike Mussina after he got ahead in the count. Let's take a look at it. First pitch fastball to Ichiro. All right, little breaking ball on the outside corner. Now watch this. Look at him changing the eye level. Tries to go upstairs again. Ichiro is late on that pitch. There's another fastball. Now watch what he does. There's a changeup. When he was late on your fastball, why throw a changeup that gives him an opportunity to put it in play? He hit it on the ground, which he normally does, and it looks like that Seattle offense is off and running.
And Ichiro may be 56 stolen bases.
Normally, if a guy's late on a fastball away, as Ichiro was on the pitch before that, you come in with that same fastball, he's going to be even later because you have to hit that fastball in out in front of home plate.
So McLemore to step in with Ichiro on, and he's late on the first one. Swing and a miss for strike 1. Lou Piniella decided to start Carlos Guillen at shortstop in Game 1. He had been out for 2.5 weeks battling tuberculosis. Guillen went 0 for 3. He also missed a tag on Posada on a 4th inning double, despite a perfect peg from Ichiro from right field, and that run later scored. So Guillen sits tonight. McLemore hitting, and he takes one up and away for a ball. It's 1-1.
That shows you the respect for the speed of Ichiro at first base. Joe Torre will not pitch out very often, particularly in the first inning, but already he called for a pitch out. That time it did not work.
Now, during the regular season, Seattle won 23 of the 30 times that McLemore started. But he started at shortstop. So he's been something of a good luck charm for them. He did not have a very good division series against the Cleveland Indians. He hit just $167. But of course they won that series in 5 games.
McLemore is one of those intangible guys. He plays the game of baseball with that name on the front of his jersey instead of the one on the back.
Ichiro with the lead, not running. And it's lined in the left. Knobloch charges to make the catch. And Ichiro fades back into first base. You saw Knobloch make the catch in left field, a converted second baseman. A look at the rest of the New York Yankee D.
Really amazing what they do up the
Tino
middle.
Martinez, first base, United States of America.
My name is Alfonso Soriano, second base for New York Yankees, and I'm from Dominican Republic.
I'm Scott Brocious, third baseman, USA.
Derek Jeter, shortstop, USA.
Chuck Knobloch, left field, USA.
Bernie Williams, center fielder, Puerto Rico.
Paul O'Neill, right field, United States of America.
Jorge Posada, catcher, Puerto Rico.
And Mike Mussina, the 32-year-old from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, dealing to the native of Southern California. Brett Boone, a .331 hitter during the season. But his postseason has been dreadful, in a word. 3 for 24, 11 strikeouts. His first slump of the year, although his timing could be better. He's chosen postseason play to go into a bit of a tailspin. On the corner for a strike. 0-2.
Look at the location of this fastball here. Almost like it was in the pregame show. Wherever Posada puts his glove, that's where the baseball will end up.
Ichiro again edging away from first base, and that one is lined a sinker into center field for a base hit. The second hit of the inning off Mussina. Suzuki into second base, and there are 2 on for the designated hitter Edgar Martinez.
Second hit off Mike Mussina, and the third consecutive ball that was hit hard. McLemore might have hit the ball the hardest of the 3, but Chuck Knobloch was able to get a glove on it. We were worried about the velocity of Freddie Garcia, pitching only on 3 days rest. But Mike Mussina's the one whose velocity's down a little bit, and now he has given up both singles on an 0-2 count.
And if there is a nemesis on the Seattle club for Mike Mussina, it is this man, Edgar Martinez. 22 for 59 against him, a .373 lifetime average. He starts him with a breaking ball low, 1-0.
Those numbers are equally as amazing when you think about the fact this will be his 60th at bat against Mike Mussina. So it's not like that 373 is over, 10 or 12 at bats. This is more than a trend here.
2 on, 1 out. A Mariner threatened in the first inning, and a check swing. It's up and in, 2-0. Edgar had to go to the bat store to get some more bats after yesterday, when he lost 3 of them. Andy Pettit claiming a couple of them. Mariano Rivera the other on the last play of the game. Ichiro and Boone get their leads. This crowd is buzzing in the first inning in Seattle. Brocious on to Soriano, 1, and Martinez is easily doubled up. 5-4-3, and that's a rally killer. That's the 3rd double play he's hit into in his last 2 games. Edgar Martinez doubled up. Around the horn go the Yankees. And Seattle fails to score after an inning at Safeco. It's 0-0.
And without his bat, that offseason could happen sooner than the Mariners would like.
So 0-0 after an inning. Tino Martinez laces a base hit between Bell and McLemore. The second Yankee hit of the night against Freddie Garcia. This one leading off the second inning.
Every year they talk about some young prospect that's going to replace Tino Martinez. Well, there might be somebody that can replace him as far as on the field what he does. But Joe Torre was telling us before tonight's game, there's nobody that can replace him in that clubhouse. Joe Torre says that anytime problems come up with the team, as they do throughout the year, he said very seldom do they get to his office, because guys like Tino are able to solve them and calm them down before they become a big deal.
Well, the Yankees have Nick Johnson in the system. He would be the man to replace Tino if that should happen. He spent September with the Major League Ball Club up with New York. Tino, though, 34 homers, 113 runs batted in during the regular season. The Yankees doing a wonderful job, Rick, of starting innings by reaching base. They did it 6 times in yesterday's Game 1 victory, and have done it twice in 2 innings here tonight.
A lot of them swinging at that first pitch fastball.
Posada lays off, and it's outside, 1-1. There's Nick Johnson, the big first baseman.
Big time power. They expect 25 to 30 homers a year out of him. A tremendous on base percentage for a power type guy, but where he needs help right now is defensively.
One thing the Yankees like about him is how patient he is, especially given his youth. He will work a count, and boy, he'd fit right in with the rest of the Yankees, given that description. That's It's been their calling card as a ball club offensively throughout this amazing championship run, having won 4 of the last 5 world titles. Slap foul by Posada. He was 1 for 3 in the first game with a double and a walk, and he also scored 2 of the Yankees' 4 runs.
And even more importantly than that, Posada was proud of his fingers, he said before tonight's game. The pitches that he called for Andy Pettitte to throw.
The crowd eager for a strikeout from Garcia, and time asked for and granted by Wally Bell to Posada.
And Garcia not very happy about that. Posada had lost his rhythm at home plate. Asked for timeout. He was granted it. Dan Wilson threw up his arm, but Garcia did not see it until he had started to throw the pitch.
A batter can ask. The umpire does not have to grant it. It's solely up to him. Full count, 3-2.
That might have been a little message from young Freddie Garcia. He will intimidate you if you let him. That won't be the only hitter tonight that he knocks down. Try to knock them off the plate. If they give, they move off the plate, he'll take advantage of them on the outer half.
The runner goes in the 3-2, and it's ball 4. Now the previous fastball 95 miles an hour by Garcia. Then he came back with the off-speed pitch, and we said we'd keep an eye on the radar gun readings to see how hard he was throwing on 3 days rest. So far so good, and that's what Piniella was betting on.
Well, they just have a better game plan right now, that being the Yankee hitters, than those of Lou Piniella's. They have not hit into a double play as of yet in this series. They're very patient. They know to hit into a double play more times than not you're going to do it on a pitch down. They're not swinging at those pitches.
Paul O'Neill certainly came into this series slumping. He was tied up in a major way by the Oakland A's in the division series, managing to go just 1 for 11. It does not appear O'Neill is in a slump any longer. He has 2 on here with nobody out and fouls the first one away. And here's how he broke out of that little postseason skid yesterday.
Well, he said the reason he was able to go out of the park was because the ball was up. And you can see Aaron Seeley knew right away. Very respectful, as all of these Yankee hitters are when they hit a home run. O'Neill not standing there admiring it, tucked his head down and got around the bases.
So early on, a chance to put the Yankees in front here in the second game. The 0-1 from Garcia, too high. Freddie Garcia topping the American League in earned run average with a 3.05 ERA. So for Piniella, he has emerged as a true ace. The league also hit just 225 against him, and he pitched 238 plus innings. Was also number 1 in the American League. So across the board, you're looking at a real number 1 here. Martinez and Posada leading, and a high fly lifted to Stan Javier. And the veteran of 17 major league seasons hauls it in with a first down in the second inning.
That's a rare bat at bat for the Yankees there. The game plan for O'Neill with nobody out was to pull the baseball. Tried to advance Tino Martinez at least to third base with just 1 out. But Garcia did not give him a pitch to do that with, and Paul can't be very happy with his effort there.
So now a double play can get Garcia out of the inning. After retiring O'Neill on a routine fly, it brings up Scott Brocious. Brocious 0 for 3 yesterday. Garcia has really tossed a wet blanket over his bats in the past. He's 1 out of 11 against the right-hander. And he is having a pretty bad postseason so far, but that'll take care of it. Down into the corner. This will be an extra base hit. Here comes Martinez into score. Posada into third. He's being waved around as it bounces away from Javier down into the corner, and that's a 2-run double. Crunched by Scott Brocious, and then he got a good bounce. He got a Yankee hop down into the left field corner. It rattled away from Javier. And instead of just Martinez, Posada came screaming around. And Lou Piniella's team is already in the hole 2-0.
There are some tough angles, particularly down the lines here at Safeco. And Stan Javier, you would think by now, would have the home field advantage, would know where this ball is going to come off. But he overran it. Then he slipped. By the time he got back, the Yankees had another run on the board.
He went far too deep into that corner to play that kind of a carom. So 2 runs cross the plate. And once again, Safeco is quiet. As Soriano, who might be a huge key to this series, as the number 9 hitter. 268 during the regular season with 18 homers. 2 for 4 with a stolen base yesterday. And that on a pitch out. And he stole it by 15 feet. What a big hit for Scott Brocious, who is 1 for 20 in the postseason before that double.
That's got to be some concern for the Mariners, and in particular Lou Piniella and their pitching coach Brian Price. There have been a lot of balls hit hard. As we look at Brian there, he knows this is not the norm for Freddie Garcia. That 3 days rest may not have worked.
Soriano fouls it away. Now, he had a heck of a day yesterday, but one embarrassing moment, very un-Yankee-like, came on his base hit, which he tore into down the left field line. He thought the ball was gone, and he hovered around the plate for a bit. It slammed into the fence. It went for a very long single. He thought it was out of the ballpark. Joe Torre said, that kept me from having a great day. Otherwise, everything was perfect. Pop to center. And Cameron back lining it up. And Brocious will not try and tag up. He remains at second base. 2 down.
Joe Torre also said after the game and the excitement of winning game 1 in the ALCS, first thing he did was bring his young second baseman in along with the veteran Bernie Williams. Joe said that was his interpreter, just in case his words were not understood, to clear the air. Joe said even if that ball did go out of the ballpark, that's not the way we react as a Yankee. I wouldn't expect to see it again.
No, message delivered, I think, pretty clearly. So 2 down. Here's Knobloch batting for the second time already. A single in the first inning for Chuck. So he's 1 for 1. His numbers against Oakland in the division series, 273, but 6 hits in those 5 games. Already has 4 of them in the ALCS. Brocious at second with 2 down, and it's low for a ball.
You know, Brocious is another guy, just like Tino Martinez, that there is talk about the youngster going to replace him next year. The youngster for Brocious is a guy named Drew Henson. George Steinbrenner spent $17 million on over the next 6 years. You got to figure George is going to want to see that guy in uniform in New York.
Another one hit hard into center. Here comes Cameron. Did he make the catch? No, he did not. Here comes the run. He scores. He scores. Cameron scooped it up off the deck, and it's 3-0 Yankees. Cameron hopping mad. He thought the catch had been made, but it bounced on the grass. In for a hit. Another RBI for Knobloch. We take a look.
And I think it's a bad judgment on the part of Mike Cameron by trying to play center field and umpire. We'll take a good look at it here. To me, to begin with, it looked like it dropped, and it did drop. That's a tremendous call from a long ways away by Ed Montague down the right field line. He tried to sell the fact that he caught it. But even if you did catch it and the umpire makes that call, you've got to come up and try to throw the guy out at home plate. That was Scott Brocious running from second. He doesn't have a lot of speed. You might have got him at home. Then let the umpire make the call after you make the throw.
So that mental mistake, along with the physical mistake down in the left field corner by Javier, allowing that ball to get by him on the 2-run double by Brocious. 2 early mistakes in the Seattle outfield. They were the top defensive team in the American League this year. They just don't make these kind of mistakes. Remember Guillen failing to properly cover second base on the double by Posada yesterday. He did not straddle the bag, and Posada slid in. He got by him when he should have been out on a great throw by Ichiro. So the Mariners are hurting themselves in the first 2 games of the ALCS, and New York leads it 3-0. The runner goes. The throw by Wilson. The tag down in time. Knobloch cut down on a great throw by Wilson. That ends the inning. But the Yankees scored 3 times on a pair of singles and a big 2-run double by Scott Brocious, and some charitable defense by the Seattle Mariners. Mike Cameron in center field holding it up, but he did not make it. Well, Lou Piniella has his team down already 3-0 as we move to the bottom half of the second inning. Mike Cameron certainly part of the Yankee rally there. Eddie Montague, who is umpiring right field, came over in between innings to talk about the play where Cameron thought he made a catch in center field, explaining it to Lou Piniella. Knobloch creeps over to the line to make the catch, and Olerud is retired on 1 pitch. Looked like the proper call given all the replays we showed you from Montague.
And you know what that shows me there is the respect that Montague has for Lou Piniella. He came over and said, you know what, I'm not positive. Check the replay and let me know if I got it right. I hustled, I got as close to the play as I could possibly get, and I made the best call I could make. And once again with Ed Montague, it was the right call.
One of the reasons, and there are many, that there are 2 additional umpires in postseason play, one along the right field line, one along the left field line, to help on controversial plays like that. It appeared he got it right. Mike Cameron taking a strike, trying to atone for his mental lapse there in failing to come up throwing on Brocious, who is not Alfonso Soriano in terms of wheels, who scored on that play. So the Yankees ahead 3-0. This does not bode well for Seattle, because Mussina, in his last 12 starts, including the playoff outing against Oakland, only once has allowed more than 3 runs.
7 out of his last 10 appearances, Mike Mussina has not allowed even 1 earned run.
The 0-2 pitch, fly deep to left field, but playable. Knobloch backing up shy of the track. 2 down. Mike Mussina is certainly the thinking man's pitcher. He graduated from Stanford with a degree in economics, and he achieved that in 3.5 years, less than 4 full years in college. He came within 1 out of recording baseball's 16th perfect game on September 2nd at Fenway Park, allowing a 2-out single to Carl Everett in the bottom of the 9th inning. He came that close.
4 career 1-hitters.
Got to believe he'll get one of these days. He's allowed a couple of hits tonight. Stan Javier, a .292 hitter during the season.
And imagine that, a first pitch strike from Mike Mussina. That is now 6 out of 7 that he has done that with.
Looking for a 1-2-3 inning.
Ichiro got on base as a leadoff hitter, but that's Ichiro. He does things that most people can't. 77% of the time this year, Mike Mussina retired the leadoff hitter. The only Yankee with a better percentage than that is their closer, Mariano Rivera.
So far tonight, the Yankees are scoring for Mike Mussina. That's not something they made a regular habit of doing during the regular season, nor did his Baltimore Oriole teams throughout his superb seasons pitching in Camden Yards.
How about his last year with the Orioles? A year ago, an ERA of 3.79 and an 11-15 record. I guess that means it's time to leave.
Well, he came to the right place. He wanted to play in October, so he went to the Yankees. He said a big factor in making his decision when he became a free agent as to where he'd be playing was whether or not he'd be playing in October. He said, when I sat around and looked at the possibilities, where and who in the core group of players, it became obvious. And here he is pitching in October in meaningful games. Fouled off. That got a piece of the home plate up Wally Bell. 2-2.
Mussina is just another reason why, in my opinion, the MVP of the Yankees for the last 5 years is their owner, George Steinbrenner. I mean, how many teams can go out and spend that kind of money to bring a guy like Mussina in? It was Roger Clemens that he brought in a few years ago. He added Chuck Knobloch. It seems like anything they need, George Steinbrenner is more than willing to write the check to get him.
And some big checks for people like Chuck Knobloch and Bernie Williams when they re-signed him, Rivera when they re-signed him. Base is empty, 2 down. And the pitch to Javier. just why Dan Wilson will be the next hitter. So far, the Mariners have been shut out by Mussina. Held to 2 runs yesterday by Pettit and Rivera. A Seattle team that scored the most runs in the big leagues this year, allowing the fewest and committing the fewest errors of any major league team. But they're not scoring yet in this series. They are making defensive mistakes. And the Yankees are clearly out pitching them.
And I think that not scoring has something to do with the defensive lapses that we've seen from this team. They're pressing right now. No one knows it better than their manager.
Javier battling Mussina. The 3-2. Slice back to the screen. So he's making the veteran Mussina work here. Yes, and Javier certainly fits that bill, 37 years old.
Take a look at this 3-2 pitch. Look at where Posada's sitting. Where's the baseball? That is amazing command of that fastball. Mussina not only smart, as you mentioned, with that Stanford degree, but equally as talented.
He has thrown 8 pitches to Javier in this at bat, and he walks him. So a man on for Seattle. Major League Baseball International's presentation of the 2001 American League Championship Series is brought to you by MasterCard. There are some things in life that money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Rick Sutcliffe, Dave O'Brien from Safeco Field in Seattle, Washington. The roof covering us tonight. They are anticipating rain. It is gray, cloudy, and cool outside. But the great thing about Safeco is you can still see outside. It's not one of those retractable domes that makes you feel like you're inside a giant hangar. You can see the skyline, and you can feel the chill.
There are so many beautiful things here to see in Seattle as well. The new football stadium that's going up right across the street. Mount Rainier, the Space Needle we saw earlier. Why not give the fans a view?
But as long as it's a covered view, because it tends to rain now and again. Dan Wilson, a .265 hitter during the season, 0 for 3 yesterday in the first game. And Mussina falls behind him 2-0 after walking Stan Javier.
Doesn't really look like Mel Stottlemyre's too concerned, does he? Mussina doesn't make many mistakes. It was a terrific at bat by Stan Javier. He's more of a guy that works the count, that will have a higher on base percentage than yesterday's left fielder, Jay Buhner.
Just 42 walks from Mussina during the season. His fewest since 1998. That was his first walk tonight. A foul ball by Wilson, who in the playoffs against the Yankees has had a very difficult time, both in '95 and last year. 1995 he was 2 out of 17 against them. Last year 1 for 11.
He's got some decent career numbers though against Mike Mussina. Along with that .261 average, he's hit 3 home runs.
The Yankees up 3-zip in the second, and it's off the end of the bat foul. Mussina made 2 starts against the Mariners during the regular season. He went 1-1, a .338 earned run average. Seattle hit him pretty well. They batted .306 off him, but he also tallied 15 strikeouts in 13 1/3 innings. He did not give up a home run in either of those 2 outings. A lot of strikeouts from him. Wilson gets a bit of it. 2-2. On August 17th in this ballpark, he picked up a win in an outstanding outing. 5 hits over 7 innings, and he struck out 7. Javier edges away from first, and another 2-2 pitch is swatted down the left field line, but foul. Hit very sharply. The Mariners have had some pretty good cuts against Mussina in the first 2 innings.
Well, he's been wild, but for the most part in the first inning he was wild in the strike zone, giving up a couple of hits on 0-2 pitches. Very uncharacteristic of him. Yeah, Wilson was fooled to begin with. You saw him rock back thinking that ball was in on him. It ended up being that big breaking curveball. And even though his front part of his body was gone, his hands were back.
Well, that was his 20th pitch of this inning, so he is laboring some. They're making him work.
That's got to put somewhat of a smile on Lou Piniella's face, particularly the way this offense has struggled. They scored 1 run in the next to last game of the year. They scored 4 runs the last day of the year. Shut out in the first game against Cleveland.
Another foul ball, so he has thrown 8 pitches to Dan Wilson after needing 9 against Javier. And that clicker's going pretty good. Stottlemyre keeping track of the pitches. The Safeco fans looking for a 2-out rally here. 1 on, 2 out. 3-0 New York in the second inning. Popped it up, drifting into foul ground, and again into the stands. Wilson just laying that bat out there, spoiling one pitch after another, looking for something to handle.
And it's one different pitch after another from Mike Mussina. He's fouled off the curveball. There was a changeup he got a piece of. He's been right on the fastball. Now what do you do if you're Mike Mussina? I might tell him what's coming. Posada wants that fastball in, and he wants to elevate it.
Let's see if Wilson chases it. He lines it into right center field for a base hit. O'Neill tries to cut it off. He does. He flips it to Williams. Here comes Javier into third. What a play by Paul O'Neill. But it's a base hit for Wilson after a long at bat, and the Mariners have men on the corners.
That should have been an RBI double. But exactly like you said, Dave, that was a tremendous play by Paul O'Neill. And let's not forget, he has got a stress fracture in that left foot. He said, I don't know if it's still broke or not. I don't care. I don't want to find out. I want to play. Yeah, it bothers him. He said in particular it bothers him taking that first step defensively. Well, if he didn't take a tremendously quick first step there, that ball would have gotten by him. Seattle would have been on the board, but they're not. And don't be surprised if they don't score with 2 outs here and Mike Mussina on the mound.
Well, quite a contrast to the way the Mariners have played the outfield. We'll see how long O'Neill can go tonight as David Bell takes the first pitch for ball 1. It's at around the 6th inning mark, Lou Piniella told us, that O'Neill's stress fracture really starts to ache. It starts to bark at him. Of course, he did damage before he came out of the game yesterday, cranking a 2-run homer, and he just made a wonderful play on a toss over to Williams to prevent a run from scoring. Ichiro up next. And it's hammered into the ground by David Bell, a big hitter here, because the Mariners hope they have Mussina on the ropes.
Posada taking some time to go out and talk to Mike Mussina. That was signaled from Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach. Not for anything else other than just give him time to regroup a little bit.
As you saw in postseason play, the Mariners have had a very difficult time batting with men in scoring position. Javier unable to score on a hit by Wilson. First and third, 2 down. The 1-1 pitch fouled off. You've seen it so far having a very difficult time putting away Seattle hitters. And the count has gone to 2 strikes. He's allowed 3 hits and he's walked a man.
Seattle has done a good job laying off the high fastball. Mussina's tried to expand the zone a couple of times in that location, but they have not gone for it.
Bell waiting on a 1-2 pitch. 2-2.
There it was again.
Boy, Rick, a lot of pitches in this inning. Mussina only needed 4 pitches to retire the first 2 batters. To the last 3 hitters, 23 pitches.
One of the goals for the Seattle Mariners coming into tonight's game was to get Mendoza into this ball game. They feel like he's a little bit fatigued. Joe Torre had to have him up and throwing 3 times yesterday, although he didn't get into the ball game.
Full count.
Fish aren't biting. Thus far, they've done a tremendous job laying off that high fastball. What a wonderful baseball town this is.
And they're letting the world hear him right here. One more bad one, and they're loaded up for Ichiro. Here's the 3-2. Struck him out. Bell went after the high one. And Mussina fans him. Seattle can't break through against Mussina. Paul O'Neill with a gorgeous play out in right field. He prevented a run. 3-0 the Yankees.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in this ESPN program.
ALCS game number 2, 3-0 the Yankees. And Rick, the Yankees are nothing if they're not a club that picks each other up.
Well, and that's what Joe Torre's teams are all about. You've got 25 guys pulling on the same side of that rope. And even though Bernie let go of the rope for a minute, look at the guys there to pick him up. Look at who they are, patting him on the back. Look at Tino Martinez. Now, let's get going. We don't need you down. And what happens after Bernie gets a drink and he gets a towel? He follows the starting pitcher, Mike Mussina, down into the runway to tell him I'm sorry. And I know Mussina. I played with him. He says, no big deal. I picked you up. I know you'll be there for me later on.
And the Yankees still on top by 3. Mussina continues to throw a shutout, although not a work of art by any means. Freddie Garcia, on the other hand, has allowed 3 runs, 4 hits. And despite the great catch by Cameron in center field, his defense has let him down as well in the outfield. Posada not real thrilled with that strike call by Wally Bell. He walked and scored in the 2nd inning. 1-2.
Posada, as being a catcher, though, won't argue a whole lot about that call. One thing he probably said to Wally Bell was, all right, if you're going to call that a strike on me with a bat in my hand, make sure my pitcher gets that pitch.
Down into the dirt by Garcia. That squares the count at 2-2. In this inning, Posada, O'Neill, and Brocious 6, 7, and 8. And Alfonso Soriano, the number 9 man, if anybody reaches. And it was this part of the order that did considerable damage to Seattle yesterday. Ground ball but foul. Backhanded by Olerud in any event. The count remains 2-2.
I'll never forget a few years ago. In fact, it was on July 31st, 1998, when Seattle traded Randy Johnson to the Houston Astros. And boy, did their front office take a beating in the press and in the media. We got nothing in return for the big unit. They couldn't have been more wrong.
Cut on and miss for strike 3. That's part of what they got. A terrific young pitcher. He strikes out the leadoff man. One away in the 4th inning. Where can you see some of baseball's greatest plays of the week? How'd you like to get some tips from the game's best players? Well, be sure to tune into Baseball Max. Each week, Baseball Max brings you the excitement and drama of the game of baseball. Upcoming episodes will recap the 2001 playoffs, including this series and the World Series. Baseball Max. Check the TV listings in your country for times and channels. A worldwide audience tuning in. We thank you for joining us tonight for ALCS Game 2. O'Neill punches a single up the middle. Swinging at the first pitch. Paul O'Neill with his first hit of the night. Well, many were ready to write the Yankees off, and I think maybe Paul O'Neill was the poster child for the write-off. As his numbers declined this year, the stress fracture in the foot at the end of the year shelved him for a bit as well. But in this series, he has hammered a 2-run homer. Tonight, a wonderful play in right field after scooping a ball in the alley and shoveling it over to Williams on the run. And now he's 1 for 2 in this one.
They just keep coming at you, that being the Yankees. They've kept the pressure on Seattle this whole series. Only 1 inning have the Yankees gone 1-2-3.
Lou Piniella says they are the cat with 9 lives. You just can't get rid of them. They keep coming back. He said you can beat the Yankees. They are beatable. Not that anyone's figured it out in postseason recently.
But to do it, you got to score on their starting pitching.
Check swing by Brocious. He doubled in a couple of runs in the second inning. So maybe he is off the schneid. The MVP of the 1998 World Series against San Diego. And what a series he had, hitting .471 with 6 runs batted in. He went 8 for 17 in that series. And he's also sprung to life, maybe out of a slump here in game 2. Anthony's for a strike, 1-1.
You talked to Joe Torre about Scott Brocious. He says, forget the numbers. He said, all you need to say about him is that he came to New York 3 years ago. And since then, we've won 3 World Series, heading for a 4th. Not a lot of hits, but big hits. Like those ones you mentioned in the 98 World Series.
Well, and he's been a standout defensive third baseman throughout his career. He hasn't had a great year with the glove, but very reliable. On the cut and miss, the count goes to 1-2.
It really has been surprising when you look at only 120 games played for Brocious, 22 errors for him. But just like Derek Jeter, a lot of those coming in the early part of the year, April and May. This team doesn't look at the season as a 162-game year. They figure there's 180 games in it for them.
Well, it always is for Jeter. Every single season he's going to play in about 185 games. A little bit low for a ball, and Reggie Jackson was talking about that yesterday, Mr. October, when somebody asked him about Derek Jeter, and he said he doesn't understand the game of Major League Baseball because he thinks the season goes 180 games every year. It's only supposed to be 162, but for Derek Jeter it's not. The 2-2 on Brocious. Close play, got him. O'Neill picked off. He did not slide. Olerud got the tag on him. Pretty cagey toss over there by Garcia. Round number 2.
Well, he couldn't slide. And he couldn't take that first step because when he put pressure on that stress fracture to come back, it did not respond. He just couldn't move. This wasn't because it was a great move. It was a quick move. It was a good throw, but it was a guy physically not able to get back.
But Paul O'Neill, usually a standout base runner, unable to do what he normally could because of the injury. And down goes Brocious, a swing and a miss for strike 3. But Garcia did a lot of that himself. 2 strikeouts and a pickoff. Paul O'Neill sent to the bench. You can see he's in some pain. Olerud gets him on the back foot. And Brocious strikes out to end the inning. And through 3.5 at Safeco, the Yankees still lead it 3-0.
Not sleepless in Seattle, but the Mariners are still scoreless, and it's their own fault. They have had opportunities. In the very first inning, this is the guy you want at home plate. 2 men on, only 1 out. But Edgar Martinez not able to come through. He's their big guy. He's an RB guy in the second inning. 2 guys on, a full count on David Bell, and he goes down swinging with Ichiro on the on-deck circle. And how about Edgar again? A man on second base, that being Ichiro, to lead off the 3rd inning. McLemore couldn't advance him. Boone couldn't drive him in. And once again, Edgar Martinez ending the inning.
So it is on to the bottom half of the 4th inning, and we'll see if the Seattle Mariners get their mojo going against Mike Mussina. Olerud, Cameron, and Stan Javier to bat this inning against the right-hander. And they need some of their famous caffeine to get that mojo cooking here. Mussina's allowed a total of 3 hits. He's walked a man, but there have been opportunities in the 3rd inning. Ichiro leading off with an error by Williams, reaching 3rd, and he couldn't bring him in. And it's a routine pop-up by Olerud. Brocious taking it for out number 1. Really a Mike Cameron.
Oh, it's just so uncommon for the Mariners, the way they played all year, what they're doing now. Strikeout. 7 times they struck out yesterday. Twice they hit ground balls into double plays. Olerud was the first to do that in the 2nd inning. Cameron hit into a double play. me they work the pitcher to get them out.
Cameron's flying to left. He's 0 for 1. He's had kind of a star-crossed game defensively. He has made a wonderful catch in center field. A high leaping grab up against the center field fence to rob Bernie Williams. He's also made a mental mistake trying to sell the umpire on a sinking line drive that hit the ground first. But there was no sail on it. But here's the catch. What a brilliant play in the third.
You know, with the exception of Andrew Jones, I don't know of anybody that's got more range than Cameron does. Andrew's kind of in a class on it by his own, but you know, if you stop and think, there's a guy that plays right next to him in right field. It wouldn't surprise me that Ichiro could have gotten to that ball too.
Some serious wheels. Mussina has been hit pretty well by Cameron. Mike 5 out of 13 against him. The Mariners have had some decent cuts against him tonight. Nothing to show for it. And that pitch hit him. Got him on the arm, so he will take a base.
There's a lot of this going on. We're seeing a lot of fastballs up and in. We asked Lou Piniella and Joe Torre if there was anything to that. We asked Piniella, did you think that Mariano Rivera was throwing at Brett Boone? He says, I don't know. He said, I didn't think so on the first one, but then the second one got my attention. Joe Torre says, well, I don't believe so, but you know, both of those guys played the game. They played it hard. There's a lot at stake here.
Stan Javier, the batter. During the regular season, Cameron did lead the Seattle Mariners, getting hit by 10 pitchers, so not a very high total.
Well, in the past, you didn't have to hit him because you could get him out.
Yeah.
He really had a breakthrough year offensively.
25 homers, 110 RBIs, and he can steal a base. Cranked to dead center field. Well hit. Williams back, turning around, and it's gone! Stan Javier hit 4 home runs all season, but he jumps on Mussina, dead away to center, and the Mariners get back into the ball game.
You can't believe how hard this ball has to be hit to hit it out to that part of the ballpark. We've seen Bernie Williams hit one as far as he can to center. It didn't leave, but Stan Javier did. That's amazing. Javier, I mean, he's been with 9 different teams. He's been around. It's not because nobody wanted him. It's just the opposite. He does so many things, but what kept him from being an everyday player was the lack of power. Where did that come from?
So Lou Piniella's club down a run to Mussina. 416 feet for Stan, looking like the man. His first postseason home run in 64 playoff at-bats. A pop into right, and O'Neill makes the grab for the second out. Well, Mussina doesn't give up too many. It's the first one he's allowed to Seattle this year.
Well, take a look at Posada sitting right down the middle. The book on Stan Javier is that he will take the first pitch. He works the count. Well, he fooled him here. Javier wanted it down the middle. He got it. Posada wanted it there. Mussina put it there. And we know where Javier ended up putting it, over that center field fence, well over 400 feet away.
David Bell 0 for 1. He struck out in the second inning. Stan, 37 years old. 17 years in the big leagues. And he takes Mussina out of the ballpark at Safeco. They'll try to check, but he went. 0-2.
This is going to be a great series for so many reasons. Seattle Mariners are probably the only team not afraid to go to New York and compete for a championship against them. They beat them 5 out of 6 times this year during the season in New York.
A one-run game here in the bottom half of the 4th inning. Breaking ball trickled along third but foul. Ichiro to bat next if the inning is still cooking.
But I still think, from what the very first thing we said in the pregame yesterday, it's going to come down to the bottom of the order. The defense is normally there. The starting pitching is there. Tremendous bullpen. Ichiro's going to touch home plate. Jeter's going to score. There's going to be home runs hit by the hearts of the lineup. But what happens with 6, 7, 8, and 9 will be the determining factor.
1 ball, 2 strikes. The Yankees have kept Bell quiet all season long, just 3 for 24 as the number 9 hitter. But the number 7 man made a lot of noise. Stan Javier. A 2-run homer to close the gap to 1.
They're going to have to change that scouting report on Javier.
Yeah.
Instead of he won't swing at the first pitch or doesn't, occasionally he will.
2-2.
I remember A-Rod telling me last year that it won't go to dead center field, particularly late in the year and on a night game when it's cool.
But clearly he does not own Stan Javier's power.
Yeah. What did he hit, 50 this week?
3 balls, 2 strikes.
These fans have got to be more physically tired than the players. That's all they're doing, up and down.
High fly up around the roof. On comes Knobloch. Side retired. But Stan Javier cranks a 2-run homer to dead center field. Hey, you can hit it out at Safeco. At least Stan can. Pitcher Sterling Hitchcock getting in some of his October reading, apparently, Rick.
Well, he might be trying to find an eraser to change that report on Stan Javier. Javier got tired of watching that first pitch strike go by him. Not only did he swing at the first pitch off Mike Mussina here tonight, but yesterday when he pinch hit in the 9th inning, he did the same thing to Mariano Rivera.
5th inning, Soriano to lead things off against Garcia. Freddie Garcia finally with some run support. Didn't need a whole lot of it last year in the American League Championship Series. Facing essentially the same Yankee lineup. He went 2-0 against them with a 1.54 ERA. Into the better pitch games of that series. And immediately jumps in front of the youngster Soriano, who is 0 for 1 with a fly to center field. We get the sense on a night like tonight why the Mariners won 57 games in this ballpark this year. How difficult it is for opposing teams to come in, cut on and miss. And that means 3 of the last 4 Yankee batters have gone back to the dugout as strikeout victim, courtesy of Garcia.
Just a tremendous sequence there to get Soriano. Look at the location on this breaking ball. He started him off with that slider for a strike. The second one wasn't a better slider. It was just in a better location on the outside corner. And the third one in even a better spot to an aggressive young hitter.
Knobloch has not been retired tonight. A pair of singles. The last one for an RBI is 5 for 7 in this series. So coming into the American League Championship Series, as again Garcia gets in front, the prevailing theme was Ichiro is the guy who's going to beat the New York Yankees. You got to keep him off base. Well, Chuck Knobloch has outdone the Japanese sensation out of the leadoff spot so far.
I really like the adjustment Garcia's making here. All right, the velocity on your fastball and the command is not there. You've got other weapons. How about the breaking ball? You see there's a fastball there from him. It's just not there. A 3 days rest may have been the reason. You know what? 238 innings during the regular season might be part of it. All they want to do is get him through maybe this inning, possibly one more.
Knobloch stays away 2-1. Yeah, I got to believe Lou Piniella will be doing some backflips down in the dugout if he can get Garcia 6 innings tonight.
As important as this game is to the Mariners, the future of Freddy Garcia is even more important. You're going to take him out 1 inning too soon rather than leave him in there even 1 pitch too long.
Well, Piniella has a stacked bullpen, the #1 pen in the American League, fouled away by Knobloch. And now the crowd is going to rise up again and holler for a strikeout.
I think not only does Lou Piniella want to use that bullpen tonight, he'd like to use it with the lead, but he needs to use it. These teams traveling tonight, an off day tomorrow. Sasaki, Nelson, Rose did not pitch yesterday. They were off the day before that. They need some work. They need to break a sweat.
The rock in the 2-2. Left it low. Yeah, another cross-country flight coming up for the Yankees, and Derek Jeter, who is on deck.
4 frequent flyer miles. They've got all they need for a while.
Knobloch on again for the 3rd time as Garcia let him off the hook. Well, this series, the Mariners are trying to tie up the National League Championship Series, is already dead even. And it's Curt Schilling on the mound in Atlanta for Game 3 of the National League Championship Series against John Burkett. That's tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And then join us for Game 3 of the American League Championship Series coming up at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday from the Bronx. It'll be Jamie Moyer against El Duque, Orlando Hernandez. The Mariners trying to head on back to New York in a 1-1 tie. The Yankees have other plans. New York leading here 3-2 in the 5th inning. And with a man on for Jeter. Pops that up. Into shallow right. This one has a chance to fall, and it does. Knobloch moves up to second. Jeter with a little flare into the outfield. Has himself a base hit. His first hit of the series. And makes him 1 for 7, but the Yankees are building a threat with 1 down.
Well, there's been a saying for a long time in baseball that a lot of times a bloop is followed by a blast. Derek Jeter has hit some balls hard in this series, but nothing to show for it until this. And bloops don't get much better than that right there. Kind of surprised Knobloch did not get a better read on that ball. The first thing you do as a base runner is to check the outfielders. Where are they positioned? Well, Ichiro had a long ways to go to get to that ball. No chance to get there, yet Knobloch did not know that, or he would have been able to take off and gotten to third base with just 1 out instead of standing there on second. You see him checking the ball, and by the time you check it more than once, that's too long with an arm like Ichiro has.
Justice climbs in 0 for 1 with a base on balls tonight. Ball 1 to him. How about Ichiro, though, doing a little groundskeeping?
Well, he's done just about everything else for Seattle here. There's been a problem with that. Lou Piniella says there's a lot of moisture on the field this time of year. It's not from rain getting on the field. They've got a roof to cover it. It's just there.
So the turf kicks up a little bit. Ground ball softly. Boone with it. Shovels to McLemore 1. On the first. Double play. Inning over. Garcia gets the 4-6-3. He got Justice to hammer it into that moist turf on the infield. Right at Boone. McLemore with a great leaping play over the top of Derek Jeter to complete the double play. Well, Rick, up until this point in the series, the double play ball has really been a friend to the New York Yankees. Now Seattle gets a big one.
Look at the toughness, though, of Mark McLemore. He knows how important it is to complete that double play, and he didn't care how close Derek Jeter was to him.
A slicer down into the corner, but Knobloch covers the ground. And Ichiro is retired on 1 pitch on what could be a very big half inning for the Seattle Mariners. If momentum is indeed a tangible thing in baseball, it has just jumped into the dugout of the Seattle Mariners. One down with McLemore coming up.
And there's been some free agents that have jumped into that Mariner dugout the last couple of years, and their general manager Pat Gillick deserves a lot of credit for that. He had some money to spend. When the big unit left and Griffey Jr. left and A-Rod left, he had to fill those holes. He had money to do it, but he was perfect in that free agent market. Last year, Mark McLemore, as we look at him here, was one up. He was 6 for 6 going into last year. Aaron Seeley, Olerud, McLemore, Sasaki, Rhodes, and Stan Javier, who hit the 2-run homer earlier. Equally as perfect this year.
McLemore 0 for 2 tonight. The native of one of America's great military cities.
That man has to sleep good at night, knowing what he has done. This year, the 3 guys he brought in, a guy named Brett Boone, Jeff Nelson, and Ichiro.
McLemore out of San Diego, California. He has known many baseball protocols in his 14-year career. Wearing the uniform of the Angels, the Indians, the Astros, the Orioles, the Texas Rangers, and now Seattle. And the Mariner fans taking their shot at the departed.
Is that 51 million? 3 guys? A lot of teams that don't pay 25 players that much money. A lot of them. I mean, it really is almost unfair what the Yankees are able to do. A payroll of $143 million this year. Oakland's payroll, $47 million.
Into the dirt on McLemore, 2-2.
Mariners have gotten into the top 10 in payroll. This year they were 9th with a payroll of just over $85 million. Cleveland was 2nd with $105 million spent to the Yankees. They're home watching. Atlanta and Arizona 5th and 7th. They're still playing.
Now, of course, Safeco Field, the way they pack it in, over 40,000 every night, a real gold mine. Fly ball right center field, pretty well hit, but O'Neill says he has it. He calls off Williams to make the catch. Out number 2. So Mussina doing his part to suffocate the Seattle crowd, which was rocking and rolling after the double play in between innings. And of course, after the home run by Stan Javier to get them on the scoreboard.
I was talking with Gerald Perry about the swing of Brett Boone, and he said the fact that he's late on good fastballs, that's the result. The reason is his back arm. There's too much pressure there. He said he gets so strong with that back arm that it's almost like a grown man can stand on that. Look at his right arm. Look at him gripping. You see that top hand, how tight it got. Gerald Perry said I can almost stand on that arm as he holds it back when he's not swinging well.
And he pops up here. It's going to be a fast inning from Mussina. And Tino Martinez has it. Mussina's first perfect inning tonight, requiring just 8 pitches. Remember all those pitches he threw in innings 2 and 3. He needed an inning like that, and he also quiets the crowd. So it remains the Yankees 3, the Mariners 2, as we move on to the 6th inning at Safeco.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in this ESPN program.
The Yankees leading at 3-2. They got started in the 2nd inning on Scott Brosius' 2-run double. He later came around to score on a Chuck Knobloch base hit as well. But then back came Stan Javier of the Seattle Mariners. His 2-run home in the 4th inning off Mussina. Cut it down to 1. And that's where we are right now, going to the 7th inning. 3-2, the New York Yankees in front. Dave O'Brien alongside Rick Sutcliffe. So happy you're joining us wherever you're watching around the world tonight. And with almost 50,000 jammed into Safeco Field, we're starting to move into the late stages. A pitching change will not be made as Garcia will continue on into the 7th inning. So he has gone even beyond what we thought, the 6th inning mark. And we'll see how this works out for Lou Piniella and the Seattle Mariners. Again, he's working on 3 days rest, but that's been the key for him tonight. That breaking ball he's been able to throw for strikes, although O'Neill thought it missed.
He's gotten his energy and been fueled by this crowd, getting excited every time he gets 2 strikes on a Yankee hitter. They're going into a frenzy trying to motivate this team to even the series.
Fouled off. O'Neill 1 for 2, and it's the bottom part of the order for the New York Yankees in particular in game 1, that has really done it for them. In the first game, 5 hits. O'Neill and Brocious with hits. Brocious, the number 8 hitter, with a 2-run double tonight. That was the big one. Garcia has allowed 3 runs, all in the second inning. He's gone 4 scoreless innings since, and he knocks the bat right out of the hands of Paul O'Neill. That pitch did not hit him. It did not touch the bat. We've seen some of this gamesmanship in games 1 and 2.
Oh, it's nothing that Joe Torre or Lou Piniella didn't see in their playing career. This is the way the game of baseball used to be played. You pitch in, you move people off home plate so that you can get them out of the way. It happened a lot to that man in his career. But it's kind of a compliment to a hitter. You don't knock down bad hitters.
2-2 on O'Neill. Brocious next, and then Soriano.
There were a lot of guys in my career I told you don't have to worry about me hitting you. I've got a rule. I don't hit people that I know I can get out. There aren't many guys in that Yankee lineup or Mariner lineup, though, that wouldn't have been a candidate to knock down, because they're all terrific offensive players.
Fouled away again by O'Neill.
Yankees are starting to look for that breaking ball now. O'Neill was sitting on it there with the 2-2 count. Just did not get it in a location where he could do anything with it. Take a look at where Garcia puts it. Watch him. Look at him staying back. I got it. There it is. But it wasn't elevated enough where I could do anything with it.
Will O'Neill see the hammer here? 5 strikeouts all of the last 3 innings by Garcia. Lunging, he put it up the middle, but softly. A charging play for Boone, in plenty of time to get O'Neill 1 down.
The key to a good infielder is to have a good clock, to know when you have to hurry up and know when you can slow down. Red Boone knew to begin with on that high chopper, he had to hurry up. Take a look at it. When it's hit, he knows he's got to go. Come in and get it. Well, now that he's got it, he knows O'Neill's got a broken foot. So he takes a couple of more steps. He gets a good grip on the baseball. Look at it. All right, get a good grip. All right, I feel the seams. And now you hit the first baseman in the chest.
Now, Red Boone knows he can play second base, a former Gold Glover. A few years ago, one day he heard someone on one of the sports networks say that he and Houston's Craig Biggio were the best second baseman in the National League, and Brett said, hey, nice of him to include Biggio. He's known to be a little cocky.
He likes to talk.
Yeah, he may talk more trash than anyone in baseball, but he can back it up.
Well, he knows a lot about the game. His grandfather played, his dad played, his brother Aaron is playing with Cincinnati now.
The 0-2 pitch to Brocious, who has doubled in a pair of runs and struck out against Garcia.
Garcia needs to do something with his fastball. The Yankees have figured it out. They're laying off that breaking ball out of the strike zone. Just show him. He showed Paul O'Neill that fastball up and then showed him a good one. There it is.
On the corner, got him looking. Strikeout number 6 for Garcia.
Every now and then you need a little help from your friends, and Freddie Garcia got that help there from his catcher and good buddy Dan Wilson. When a catcher brings it back to the corner, as he does here, look at him catch it and just kind of lower it a little bit, get it back on the plate. The catcher's telling you that even he knew it was not on the plate, but close enough he could get the call.
Are you a little surprised on the 3 days rest Garcia is able to pitch this deep into the game this effectively?
I tell you what, I'm not surprised at anything he's done because I've been watching him now for 3 years. I remember in spring training the following year after the trade, the hitting coach for the Padres, Merv Retman, said Freddie Garcia was the best we saw all spring. I said, what do you mean, best Mariner? He said, no, the best pitcher in Arizona. Randy Johnson was there. There was a lot of good ones. This is the crowd right now that has done this to him. Lou Piniella and pitching coach Brian Price asked him after the inning, "You done that it?" Absolutely not. I want to go back out there. This is fun.
Well, he faced only 3 men in the 6th. Trying to face 3 here in the 7th. That just missed, said Wally Bell. There has been some Yankee complaining. Bit of a smirk there on Lou Piniella's face.
Well, you can't tell from either dugout whether the ball is on the plate or not. You can tell if it's high or low. Lou Piniella knew that ball was not high, but he didn't know if it was on the plate or not.
The 2-1 pitch. Drilled into left field. Backing up Javier. He'll make the catch. Side retired. So Alfonso sent it for a ride, but it winds up a fast inning for Freddie Garcia. 1-2-3 go the Yankees. Alan Woodrow is about to sing God Bless America here at Safeco Field. The Yankees in the lead, 3-2. It's a 1-run game still. It's been that way since the 4th inning. The Yankees ahead 3-2 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Stan Javier will lead things off. He's the only man to get runs on the board tonight for Seattle.
He not only got them within 1 run of the New York Yankees here tonight, but he has gotten this crowd back into this ball game. And now it's up to him to try to get him equal to the Yankees tonight. Maybe tie it up.
In game 1, Seattle 6 through 9 hitters took an over. They're doing much better here tonight thanks to Javier. Dan Wilson also with a base hit as the number 8 man. He's next. Some changes now. Spencer is in right, taking over for Paul O'Neill. With a stress fracture in the foot, he can only go about 6 innings, as we mentioned. And on the mound, Ramiro Mendoza taking over for Mike Mussina, who only goes 6 innings.
And that's what they were saying in the Mariners clubhouse. They wanted to see Mendoza tonight. That meant they got the starter out of there before they got to Stanton and Mariano Rivera.
So not a long effort by Mike Mussina. 6 innings. He gives up 2 runs, 4 hits. But he is in line for the victory if the Yankee bullpen holds this lead.
I talked to Joe Torre before the game. I asked him if Mendoza was available tonight, and he said, "Oh, sure. We got him up a lot, but he didn't throw a lot."
A strike to Javier right on the edge of the plate. 2-2. Mendoza, who hails from Panama, 29 years old. A bounding ball right at Tino Martinez for the first out. So 1 away here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Where can you see some of baseball's greatest plays of the week? How would you like to get some tips from the game's best players? Well, be sure to tune in to Baseball Max. Each week, Baseball Max brings you the excitement and drama of the game of baseball. And upcoming episodes recap the 2001 postseason. That includes the World Series. Baseball Max. Check the TV listings in your country for times and channels. It's big in Hungary, from what I understand. Baseball Max, just a runaway hit in Hungary. The ratings are out of this world.
I'm hungry too. Oh, that wasn't what you said, was it?
No, not what I meant.
Well, the Mariners are hungry for another run.
Grounded to the hole and through for a base hit for Wilson, his 2nd of the day. And he becomes the first Seattle base runner since Stan Javier's 4th inning homer.
I have grown to become a big Dan Wilson fan, as have these people here in Seattle. That 265 average with 10 homers on the year does not tell the whole story. We've seen his throwing arm. We've seen his ability to block balls in the dirt. Another one of those guys that they're just intangibles that he does. He's part of the starting rotation first, part of the lineup second. His job is to get the starter deep into the ball game, and for the most part, he's done that all year.
Well, he caught the #1 pitching staff in the American League. A big part of it, a strike taken by David Bell, who has struck out and flying to left over 2.
That's a good strike taken right there, because that was a good sinking fastball at the knees. All you're going to do is hit that ball on the ground. Those is trying to induce a ground ball double play here. Bell's job is to get a pitch he can elevate and keep it off the ground out of the infield. As they say, put a grass stain on it. One of them out there in front of Bernie Williams.
Fouled off, and David Bell is in the hole 0-2. Last year, Mendoza did not pitch in the league championship series. He was hurt. But he pitched in '98 against Cleveland and '99 against Boston. And he is not allowed to run in LCS play. Pitching here in the 7th inning with a 1-run lead. But Wilson on at first. 2 strikes on Bell. The breaking ball fouled off his own foot. So Bell still up.
It's so important for Mendoza to throw that first pitch for a strike. If he would have fallen behind in the count, I got a feeling the gambler Lou Piniella would have tried to make something happen. What do you got to lose? The bottom part of the lineup, you don't expect a lot of offense. He might have hit and run. He might have eventually put on the sacrifice, but Mendoza did get ahead, and now he's right where he wants to be with the count 0-2.
Again, Bell fighting on, gets a foul here. You think this place has been loud earlier tonight on the Stan Javier home run. Well, if Bell finds a way to reach and get that tying run down to second base, Ichiro is up next, and you may want to lend an ear to that. That bat just comes in pieces. Brocious with the ball, got him. Down to second moves Wilson. The bat splinters.
Something tells me that Lou Piniella is smiling. He's happy. Who cares about that bat? We'll get you another one. You got the tying run in scoring position, and we've got the best hitter in the American League at hitting with runners in scoring position coming to home plate.
Ichiro Suzuki, who hit an eye-popping .445 with runners in scoring position.
They're not going to let him hit.
They're going to walk him with first base open. Crowd airs out its collective lungs here in the direction of Mendoza and Joe Torre. They'll put on Ichiro, and Mark McLemore is up next. They'll be up there trying to tie it up, although it also puts the go-ahead run on base. This intentional pass.
He's got as much speed as anybody in baseball. A gapper by McLemore could not only tie it, but maybe give Seattle the lead. But it's a chance you take, and I think it's the right move to make on the part of Joe Torre. This game always has been and always will be about players. If players perform, then as a manager you look good. If Mendoza can get McLemore out, Torre looks like a genius. If not, he's got some questions to answer after the game.
Well, more often than not, Joe Torre, since he took over the New York Yankees in 1996, has looked pretty good. We'll see how this move pays off. McLemore is 0 for 3. He's line to left, line to left, line to center. Everything's been in the air. 2 on. The breaking ball sinks in there for strike 1. Now with men in scoring position, the Mariners have been shut out in the first 2 games of the series. 0 for 9, including 0 for 5 in game 2. Wilson and Suzuki are on. 1 ball, 1 strike on McLemore.
They don't act like they're nervous, being Zimmer and Torre and Stottlemyre, but I promise you they are.
Two and 1. McLemore just 3 out of 21 in the postseason. He has not been a Big Mac in the playoffs yet. Looking to take a bite out of Mendoza, and it's gone to 3 and 1.
I think defensively here, Bernie Williams is taking a big chance. He is awful shallow in center field. His thought maybe on a base hit to throw out Dan Wilson at home plate. But by being that shallow, you can't cover the gaps like you need to. A ball gets by you, Ichiro will score easily. Knobloch's deep in left, Spencer's deep in right, but Williams about 15 feet shallower than he normally plays.
On the edge of the plate, barely there, 3-2. Mendoza made a pitcher's pitch, and the count is full.
Well, it's been a big strike zone tonight, but it's been a consistent one. That pitch has been called both ways. You as a hitter have to adjust to it.
Well, in the early part of this series, this just might be the at-bat, certainly for Lou Piniella and the Seattle Mariners. The runners will get a head start. He pulled it. Martinez with the stop. And that's all. Seattle denied again. Now 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. Not too many big hits for the Mariners in games 1 and 2. They lead 2. The Yankees preserve their slim lead. We go to the 8th. 3-2 New York. Top of the 8th, 3-2. The New York Yankees still in front. Here's a look at the New York Yankee box score. Chuck Knobloch 2 out of 3. He has an RBI. He's had an excellent series after 3 hits in game 1. 2 hits for Tino Martinez. He has scored a run. A big 2 RBI double by the number 8 hitter Scott Brocious. That came in the second inning when the Yankees scored all 3 of their runs.
Everything offensively came in the second inning as far as runs were concerned for the Yankees.
Ichiro has been on base 3 times, 1 with a hit, but he was just walked intentionally by Joe Torre moments ago in a move that really paid off for the Yankee manager.
You know, even if McLemore would have gotten a base hit, there's no question Joe Torre made the right move. Ichiro had 36 more hits than anybody in baseball this year. He led the majors in another category, that being with a .445 average with runners in scoring position.
So on the top of the 8th, it's Knobloch, Jeter, and Justice for the world champions. And Chuck Knobloch is having a wonderful series. 2 hits, an RBI, and a walk tonight. He has not been retired. And Garcia continues to pitch on into the 8th inning. He is win or lose, showing what an ace he has evolved into for Lou Piniella.
Well, you know what, he's also showing that even at less than 100%, Lou Piniella thinks he has a better chance of getting the Yankees out than one of his relievers who is 100%. That's how talented this young man is.
The 2-strike pitch to Knobloch is hammered into left field. Javier racing back with time to get there, and in front of the track, he hauled it in. Soriano ripped the line drive. It was caught by Javier to conclude the 7th inning, and that's how the 8th inning starts for the Yankees. You wonder if he's tiring at all, but through 7 1/3, he has scattered 7 hits with 6 strikeouts. And a lot of those outs, particularly after the 1st inning, came on good breaking pitches.
You know, it's not a lot different than the box score for Aaron Seeley yesterday, who was criticized. He can't win in the postseason. He can't beat the Yankees. Seeley pitched 6 innings, gave up 7 hits, and only allowed 3 runs.
And took the loss, falling to Andy Pettitte, who was better.
Not how you pitch, but when you pitch.
And who you pitch against. And if it happens to be the New York Yankees every October, your chances aren't too good. Peter fouls it away. He's gone 1 for 2 with a sacrifice bunt.
Lou Piniella is such a character. He's so fun to talk to. Him talking about the Yankees having a good starting rotation. He said, well, they ought to. They spent a lot of money on it.
That's right. He said, hey, it's been worth it. He said, don't get me wrong. Lou became the first manager in history to lead his league or division from wire to wire with 2 different clubs. He also did it in 1990 with the Cincinnati Reds, who just happened to win the World Series that year over Oakland.
What a shocking upset that was. Beat that strong Oakland club. Even though they won 116 games this year, it'd be an upset to beat the world champion Yankees.
Garcia wanted that strike, didn't get it to count 3-1 on Jeter, but
might be his last pitch of the night. Arthur Rhodes has been up and throwing since this inning started. He's ready to go. There's a left-handed hitter in the on-deck circle.
And yet only 1 Yankee has made it past first base since the second inning against Garcia. And Jeter is on. And here comes Lou Piniella.
Listen to the ovation for Freddie Garcia when he walks off this mound.
On 3 days rest, he pitches into the 8th inning. Down a run, but he pitched a wonderful ball game, allowing 7 hits. And the fans salute him here at Safeco.
Due to time constraints, we now move ahead in this ESPN program.
The Seattle Mariner manager will never be a candidate for Wallflower of the Year when he gets upset about something. There's nothing sweet about Lou, Rick Sutcliffe.
Well, he had a reason to be mad right here. When Joe Torre came out in motion to the bullpen, he is supposed the umpire down the left field line is supposed to immediately tell Mariano Rivera to come in. From that point on, you've got 8 pitches on the mound to get ready. Rivera took at least 3 or 4 more in the bullpen. He's already been called in. And look at what he's doing here. And yet the umpire let it continue to happen. What should have happened there is they should have taken those pitches away from Rivera when he got on the mound. But they did not do it.
Even Cloninger, the bullpen coach, was telling him, you're done. It's time to get in the game.
He wasn't ready. He knew he needed more.
So here's John Olerud. Runner at first, 1 down. 3-2 Yankees in the bottom of the 8th.
Here's the guy that needs to get it going. Olerud, lifetime, has an on-base percentage of around 400. He is having trouble making left turns at first base. He's been taking that right turn too many times.
0 for 3 tonight, 0 for 6 in the series, John Olerud. But the tying run is on. Rivera taking a long time, and now time was granted to Olerud as he scampered out of that batter's box. It was granted by Wally Bell.
Well, right along with Piniella being right about Mariano Rivera taking too many pitches in the bullpen, he's also trying to fire his club up. They need a spark, and every now and then the manager can be the guy that gives it to that team, and that's what Piniella's doing. He's walking up and down that bench yelling at people.
Diving back in. Now, we've talked about the possibility of Roger Clemens not being able to go long in the series in his upcoming start because of the hamstring injury. Whether El Duque is completely healthy, that's a question as well. And it also is a question that centers on Mariano Rivera and that sore ankle of his. There's a bunt attempt by McLemore late in yesterday's game 1, and it looked like a pretty gingerly effort here by the pitcher, Rivera.
Well, Joe Torre said he's only one of 2 pitchers he's got on his staff that could have made that play. Mariano Rivera and also Mike Mussina, but you saw him testing that ankle, and he was not the same after that. Gave up the double to Ichiro, a couple of wild pitches to Brett Boone, allowed a run to score.
Gibson leading, not running. And that's in for a strike. And Seattle led the majors in stolen bases with 174. They have not attempted a stolen base in this series. Got a lefty hitter up there. I remember Billy Martin, when he managed the Yankees, used to love to have a speed merchant at first base and a lefty hitter in the batter's box because it provided a great pick for the catcher. He could not see the base stealer, what kind of lead he was getting. 0-2 on Olerud. The runner holds, and it's tapped to Martinez. He'll fire to second, and got him. Jeter holding the bag like a first baseman on a less than perfect throw by Tino, but it nails the runner Gibson. 2 down.
Greg Jeter did exactly what Tino Martinez does for him on a close play. He got fully extended. He got on the right side of the base, making it an easier throw. Made sure he kept his foot on the bag, knowing he's going to have a hard slide coming at him. But what a play by Tino Martinez right there. Not afraid to make a difference and take a chance on winning a ball game. There are a lot of first basemen that would have forgot about the throw and stepped on first.
Here's Cameron now with 2 down, but a runner still at first base and cannot move the man up into scoring territory. And another fine defensive play by Jeter in the clutch, which he has made his trademark in the playoffs.
He does it so much you hardly even notice it anymore.
Well, Torrey said the same thing. He said it's becoming routine. He made a pair of defensive plays in the division series against Oakland that you can bet Abner Doubleday, who shares Jeter's birthday of June 26th, never dreamed were possible.
I'm still surprised, as you were saying, that Gibson did not try running. He had the left-handed hitter there. You needed to do something to make a difference, and he didn't even try.
In for a called strike. Rivera dealing, and he's in front 1-2.
I mean, now you're at the point where, with the lack of speed with Olerud at first base, if Cameron doesn't hit the ball out of the park, you got to get 2 hits to score a run here. If you take a chance and you're fortunate to steal second, well, you had Olerud and Cameron who could have gotten 1 hit to tie this up.
Did he go? He did. Strike 3. Cameron is gone, and so on the Mariners. They came into the 8th inning with the 3, 4, and 5 hitters. But they wind up with 1 hit and 1 man stranded and nothing across the ditch. Still 3-2. We're going to the 9th in Game 2 at Safeco. The Seattle Mariners didn't sweat much during their record 116-win regular season. But some beads of sweat are starting to form on that brow. Collectively, this Mariner club, they're down 3-2 going to the 9th inning. And the Yankees are closing in on taking a 2-0 lead in the series, heading back to New York. Another at bat coming for the Seattle faithful, but the Yankees hit here in the top of the 9th. Posada to lead it off. He has walked and struck out 2 times. First ball swinging, he pops it up. And that's a souvenir for somebody. 0-1.
Yankees 26 times have been the World Series champion, but not that long ago they were just 27 outs from being eliminated. And that was 3 times they were 27 outs away by Oakland. But when they won Game 5, they just had that look of the Lion. And they have continued that look right on through this series.
Kind of a sleepy Lion, given all the travel and lack of decent sleep that the Yankees have been put through. But that only makes what they're doing here more remarkable.
You know, I played for Joe Torre in St. Louis when he was the manager of the Cardinals in 1994. And I remember his first speech, the first day of spring training. He said, "I'm tired of being home in October watching everybody else play." He hadn't been doing that for a while.
No, he sure hasn't. Not since taking over the reins of the Yankees in '96. Foul back out of play. And you remember, go back to when that managerial move was made. Buck Showalter replaced by Joe Torre, and there were a lot of New Yorkers at that time, the New York media in particular, which jumped on that decision and said, well, this is a guy who didn't win in St. Louis. He didn't win at a couple of other places. What makes anybody think coming to the Yankees Joe Torre is the answer? How wrong were they? The 1-2 pitch, check swing, and it's in there for strike 3. Posada fans for the 3rd time tonight. 1 gone.
Just like when you look at the difference between wins and losses for a starting pitcher, you have to look at 1-run decisions by managers. That's kind of determines the kind of year they had. Both of these guys have been terrific. Torrey's 30 and 18 in 1-run decisions, and Lou Piniella, who's on his way to the mound now, 26 and 12 this year in those games.
Wants a right-hander here with Shane Spencer due up. That's all for Rhodes. So pitching change, and we'll be right back here in the 9th inning of Game 2 as Nelson comes out of the pen. Major League Baseball International's presentation of the 2001 American League Championship Series has been brought to you by MasterCard. There are some things in life that money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Rick Sutcliffe, Dave O'Brien from Safeco Field. Coming right down to the nub here. 3-2 the Yankees. They have out-hit Seattle 8-6. Stan Javier with a 2-run homer for the Mariners way back in the 4th inning. The only runs they've scored. That man, Freddie Garcia, put forth a heroic effort tonight for Seattle on 3 days rest. 7 1/3 innings, allowing 3 runs. He's going to take the loss, though, if his teammates fail to rally. And on for Seattle, the big right-hander, Jeff Nelson, the owner of 4 World Series rings, all with the distinctive Yankee logo on them. He pitched for the Yankees between 96 and 2000. And now pitching for Seattle, trying to beat his old mates.
Yeah, they know him well, but that doesn't mean they can hit him. Look at that. 65 innings, only 30 hits allowed.
Facing Shane Spencer here. The count 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out, bases empty.
This is the 7th consecutive year that Jeff Nelson has been in the postseason. 5 of those with New York, and in '95, a member of Seattle. Well, what a job he did in Game 5 against the Cleveland Indians, coming in to shut down their guys for a couple of innings, striking out Gonzalez.
Hit hard into the corner, and on a bounce, it'll be corralled by Javier. Rumbling into second base, a double for Spencer as the Yankees attempt to do what they did in the 9th inning yesterday, Game 1, when they tacked on a huge insurance run.
I thought that was supposed to be a defensive replacement Joe Torre put out there. Not only playing good defense, but providing some offense. Right-handed hitters just aren't supposed to have a chance against Jeff Nelson. That's more than a chance. That ball was hit with authority.
So a 2-bagger for Spencer. Scott Brocious has his own double and scored 2 runs in the 2nd inning. And he's batting again.
Last night, after Soriano had gotten a base hit and stolen second, 2 outs. Dave Justice with the base hit, providing a little bit more insurance for Mariano Rivera. And that run did come in handy.
Yeah, the Yankees would win it 4-2. The score, Brocious is trying to make it right here. The count 0-2 on him. He's just 2 out of 15 lifetime against Nelson.
I think that's kind of normal for most right-handed hitters against Jeff Nelson. Big, tall, imposing figure. You don't get to see him but once a month.
6'8", 235 pounds. I'd like to see you two on the low block. That's what I'd like to see. Down close to the basket.
Well, it's that low release point that he has that's so intimidating. He almost gets out there towards the shortstop. Very deceptive, very hard to pick up, and over the years his velocity has continued to improve. He's going harder now than he says he's ever thrown in his career.
Spencer leading off second base. 1 down. Pop foul. 9 hits for the Yankees. Seattle with 6. Due up in the bottom of the 9th for the Mariners. Javier, Wilson, and Bell, the scheduled hitters. That's the man they're going to have to face. Javier against Rivera is 2 for 10. Wilson really scuffles with it. Bell only 3 at bats, has a hit. Again, they are scheduled to hit. We'll see if Piniella makes a move with any of them. The runner goes, and it's fouled away. So Joe Torre had a play on there. Spencer took off. Brocious knocked it out of play.
It's all about percentages for Joe Torre. He knows how difficult it is for a right-hander to get a hit off Jeff Nelson. So what does he do? Try to get into a position where I've got a man at third base and only 1 out, and I don't need a hit. All I need is somebody to put the ball in play, and I might extend this lead to 4-2. You know, he's just not afraid. He wants to make the difference. Most of the time they tell you that managers just aren't supposed to lose games for you. Joe Torre is not afraid to try to win one by outmanaging the other guy. He's got his hands full outmanaging Piniella, though.
One away as Nelson glances back at Spencer, not running this time, and it counts 2-2.
But even though he didn't run, he had an effect on that pitch. Nelson not even close to the strike zone with that fastball.
A one-run game in the ninth. Pretty good cut there by Brocious. Although he couldn't straighten it out. He has struck out his last 2 times up.
Well, what he straightened out is Jeff Nelson. Watch the slide step. Look, he didn't even pick up his leg. That's not very intimidating there. Very easy to pick up that baseball, and very fortunate for Nelson. That ball was not hit hard. The location on that. Spencer's having a lot to do with these pitches Brocious is seeing to hit.
Nelson spinning around and continues to pay a lot of attention to that base runner, who doubled with 1 out here in the ninth.
Brett Boone is trying to hold Spencer close, but with him being that close to the bag, look at the room between him and first baseman John Olerud. Look at that.
A trickler along the third base line. It rolls foul, and Nelson keeps it that way. But yeah, gaping hole between the first baseman and second baseman. If Brocious can go that way and squeak one through, that's an easy run.
I mean, that's Shane Spencer out there at second base. He's not a burner. But Joe Torre is saying, hey, I want you to help. I know sitting back waiting on another base hit out of a right-handed hitter off Nelson is not a percentage play to make. I know you stealing a base is not a high percentage thing. But what the heck?
Dan Wilson, the Seattle catcher, has had a great night behind the plate. He has caught 2 Yankees trying to steal. He got Knobloch in the 2nd inning. Tino Martinez in the 6th inning. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. Again, Nelson steps off the rubber. And Torre has put the idea in Nelson's head, and it is clearly keeping him off stride. The runner taking off again. Swung on and missed. Brocious is retired, but Spencer steals third without the throw. 2 down. Time now for our MasterCard priceless moment. We talked about Freddie Garcia and his 7 1/3 terrific innings. When he left the ball game, everybody in the ballpark at Safeco rose to salute that effort.
And that moment will be remembered for a long time, not only by Freddie Garcia, but by these wonderful fans here in Seattle, showing him how much they appreciate what he did for the team tonight.
Right now, he figures to take a loss. First pitch is strike to Soriano. Well, it's gone 0 for 3. Spencer at third base after that theft. 2 down. Foul tipped it into the mitt. 0-2. He overpowered Soriano on that pitch. Ball and 2 strikes. Soriano with a pair of hits in game 1. Nothing tonight. The Mariners trying to strike out the side in the ninth and keep it a 1-run contest.
This kid is special. How about that swing on that breaking ball that fools everybody else? Hans Zimmer said he's just not afraid. In fact, he almost laughs. He said when Joe Torre puts on the get a jump sign when he's at first base or second base, that doesn't mean get a jump to him. He's off and running. He's not waiting for anything. He's not afraid to take a swing here off Jeff Nelson.
The big righty fires it in, and it's fouled off again. But the Yankees just have that penchant in recent years for developing special kids. Go back to Derek Jeter winning Rookie of the Year. And the player that he has developed into really a young DiMaggio in so many ways. And the true heart and soul of Joe Torre's club. Soriano right there on the edge of stardom. Nelson will step off. Little blooper. That's falling. It's falling, but a catch made by Suzuki. A terrific sliding stab by Ichiro. He saves a run, and a giant run indeed. Nelson holds. The Yankees strand a man at third base, but New York has the lead. We'll move on to the bottom of the ninth inning. Ichiro flashing some leather. Will it be enough? The Yankees 3, Seattle 2. Well, it has been a night of missed chances so far for the Seattle Mariners, and if they go to New York down 2-0, they have only their inability to hit with runners in scoring position to blame. Going back really to game 1, they have gone 0 for 10 with men in scoring position. In the second inning, a big strikeout there by Mike Mussina. And in inning number 3, Edgar Martinez with an RBI opportunity, flying out gently to Bernie Williams. And as late as the 7th inning, McLemore with a man in scoring position grounds out to the first baseman, Tino Martinez. The Yankees clamping down on Seattle throughout the series in clutch spots. So it is 3-2. The Yankee lead in the 9th inning. Stan Javier, who has driven in the only 2 runs of the night for the Mariners, batting from the left side. He has gone 1 for 2 and facing Mariano Rivera. In for a strike, and it's 1-1.
I think the biggest thing the Yankees have done tonight is keeping Ichiro from making a difference offensively. He had to lead off each of the first 3 at-bats that he had here tonight. He had an opportunity to hit with a runner in scoring position in his 4th at-bat, but Joe Torre elected to intentionally walk him.
Javier, did he hold up? That's a strike. He went around. John Shulock brings him up 1-2.
The whole key for the Mariners here in game 2 is to get somebody on base against Mariano Rivera and finally give Ichiro an opportunity to do some damage offensively.
And good luck. Rivera owns the major league record for postseason saves, 7 of them in the World Series. Strike 3 called. 1 down. The leadoff man will not reach against Mariano Rivera.
82% of the time this year, Mariano Rivera retired the leadoff hitter that he faced. That just makes the inning so much easier to go about.
17 of 22 career postseason saves for more than 1 inning. He came on in the 8th with 1 down. And now working in the 9th with 2 outs to get. He's going to face a pinch hitter in Al Martin. So left-hand bat up there for Lou Piniella. This will be his first ALCS at-bat. That's a fair ball. Picked up by Posada, and Martin is out on 1 pitch. Barely nudges out in front of the plate. 2 are out in the 9th. National League Championship Series goes to game 3 tomorrow. The Arizona Diamondbacks and the Atlanta Braves are tied up at 1 game apiece. It'll be Schilling against Burkett from Ted Turner Field in Atlanta. That's tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And in game 3 of this series, the American League Championship Series, that'll be in New York City. Jamie Moyer against El Duque on Saturday.
Jamie Moyer came up huge in that divisional series against Cleveland. He needs to do it again for the Mariners against the Yankees.
David Bell steps in. Hitless tonight. He is 0 for 3. He is all that stands in the way of the Yankees going back to the Bronx with a 2-0 lead in this best of 7. Lou Piniella's ball club, the top home team in Major League Baseball with 57 wins here. On the verge of dropping 2 home games to the Yankees. Seattle did not lose more than 2 in a row until late September. The longest losing skid was 4 straight. But 1 strike away from falling to the Yankees in the first 2 games. Up high, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I think Derek Jeter puts it the best. He says when Mariano Rivera comes into a ball game, it's over. And for the most part, he is right. You got to make a play behind him every now and then, but what a player this has been for the Yankees.
And apparently not over yet. 2-2. Many thought it would end in the first round of the 2001 playoffs against the Oakland A's. The upstarts from the West who won over 100 games and put up a great pitching staff, a terrific young staff against Joe Torre's team. But the Yankees came back and shocked them. Swung on and missed, strike 3, and the ball game is over. And the Yankees go back to New York with a 2-0 lead in the American League Championship Series. And it is deathly silent here in Seattle. The Yankees win games 1 and 2, and they do it on pitching. Rivera retiring all 5 batters that he faced on a total of 17 pitches. He overwhelmed the Mariners.
Well, you knew the bullpens were going to be solid during this series. The whole key is for your starting pitcher to outperform theirs, and that's what's happened for the Yankees in Game 1 and Game 2. Pettit pitched better than Seeley, and Mussina outdueled Freddie Garcia tonight.
Mussina gets the win. Garcia the tough luck loser, and Rivera picks up his 2nd save. So for Joe Torre and the Yankees, it's time to get back on the plane and yet another cross-country flight. But it's going to be a fun flight as they lead the series 2-0. The final score here tonight in Game 2, the Yankees 3 and the Mariners 2. A look at our Pepsi play of the game now as Rivera walks off all smiles.
For really the unlikeliest hero of all for the New York Yankees, but he was the hero tonight. It's Scott Brocious. He hits a fastball down the line. That started the scoring. That drove in 2 runs. And then eventually he came around to score a run that inning. And that is the difference here tonight.
And now, Rick, we're going to find out just how special this Seattle Mariners club is, because they are going to try to do what the Yankees just did, win a series after losing the first 2 games at home.
Well, the first thing they're going to have to do is play better defensively. Even though they were not charged with an error tonight, there were some mistakes that were made, and they've got to eliminate those, because the New York Yankees can be beaten, but they're not going to beat themselves, and the Mariners are doing that.
The Yankees have the lead in the series, 2-0. Final score tonight from Seattle, the Yankees 3, the Mariners 2. And for Rick Sutcliffe, I'm Dave O'Brien. And for our entire Major League Baseball International crew here in Seattle, thanks so much for joining us. To our worldwide audience, continue to join us for Game 3 of the ALCS coming up on Saturday at Yankee Stadium. Once again, our final score, the Yankees 3, Seattle 2. Have a great evening, everybody, and thanks so much for being with us. Scott Brocious with the big hit in this one. Some sloppy defense in the outfield, certainly early on for Seattle. That cost them. Garcia turned in a heroic effort on 3 days rest, but it was not good enough. He was outpitched by Mike Mussina, despite the great catch by Cameron. So far, Ichiro has had a rather quiet series. He was on base 3 times. Reason that Joe Torre is smiling. The New York Yankees have kept the Japanese superstar at bay for the most part. So it is on to New York for game number 3. And you're bound to see more of that man, Mariano Rivera, who has been dominating. 2 saves in the first 2 games against Seattle. 116 wins during the regular year for the Mariners, but it means nothing come this time of the year against the Yankees. Thanks again for being with us. Have a great evening, everybody.